From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure, dancing too hard and celebrating for too long. I'm Ken Napzok.
And I'm Jennifer Landa. I didn't dance too hard or too long this weekend. I wish I had.
You know, the opportunity can be found. There's a lot of clubs. You can just go out. You can find them.
I'm asleep, passed out on the couch trying to watch a movie, which always puts me to sleep for whatever reason.
It's nice. It's relaxing. We're here to discuss Star Wars news, and we actually have some news to discuss, and we're able to catch some very important Teek-related breaking news before we press record on this episode. But by the time we release this episode, without a doubt, there will be more Skeleton Crew news because we have reached the Empire Magazine drip of Star Wars news that happens ahead of big articles. We'll get to all that in a second. We'd like to remind you, as always, that today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles and choosing more to choose from, I'm sure, for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, MP3 player. We, as always, like to recommend some for you to try out. And I think I said all the words and syllables in that sentence. Shadow of the Sith by Adam Christopher is our option today. Great book. Adam's a great Star Wars author. Download your free audiobook today by going to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audiobook. I'll explain a little what's going on in my tired soul in a bit. But Jennifer, we have an ask.
That's right. Patreon and our dear patrons help keep this show running. I mean, really, we can't do it without them. We're so grateful. And we are currently at 411. And our goal is 415 patrons. We are so close. When we get to 415, we're going to do a private live stream. We don't know what we're going to do. It's going to be private between us and our patrons.
There you go. There you go.
Private. So thank you to all of you who are patrons. And if you can join us, we would love to have you.
We absolutely would. Absolutely would. Yeah. Thank you for your support all through these years. Some of you are hopping on now. Some of you have been there since the beginning, coming in and out. We appreciate it. We truly do. We're also highlighting social media sites, Blue Sky and Threads. Threads is a interesting place. I'm on there a lot more now.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it's a little bot heavy in a weird way, like an AI bot engagement farming kind of let's drum up some engagement kind of way. But we're there. But Blue Sky is growing a lot of numbers this past week. So ForceCenter's there as well. Find us there, ForceCenter Pod. Jen, Life Adventures. I got so much to say. Where's your life? How's it been?
I am in Halloween mode. I finished my finals last week. I'm going to start classes this week, so I don't get much of a break. But over the weekend, I'm like, I got to decorate. My husband made this terrifying monster that's like wearing his clothes. So it's quite startling when I walk out my front door and I catch a glimpse of it because I'm like, is that him? Oh, no, it's this monster monster mini me, but not mini because it's the same size. And our neighbors have all said that they're terrified of it. He was out there apologizing to our neighbor yesterday. And so we're like trying to figure out how can we make this less scary. I'm tempted to put like my Darth Vader mask on it or my Boba helmet, anything. I don't know. I don't know what's going to make it less scary, but now it's taken a turn, my front yard, into scary territory. Help.
Are the neighbors just kind of laughing as they complain, or are you under the rule of a homeowners association that's going to fine you for frightening the neighborhood? What do we got here?
No, it's like nervous chuckling that the neighbors have shared with me. One of them privately, where he said, yes, he too gets startled, and his dog tried to attack the Michael Myers-like figure in our yard.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll
it's
share
the
that
season.
on Instagram.
That's what you're supposed to do.
To be spooky. But how about you?
I had a great time. I am feeling it. Sometimes fun comes at a great cost. And I think that's an okay lesson. Had the chance to attend a wedding this weekend from two wonderful folks, Sean and Jill Sullivan, the Sullivans. Some of you might know Jill from her co-hosting stint with Molly Damon on their Happy Hour show. Sean is in the D&D world. Rookies and Rulebooks is his thing. You can follow him. Wonderful folks. Met them in the Schmodown-related world years ago. Got to go to their wedding. Mark Ellis officiated the wedding. Molly and Alex Damon were out. There was an entire Atlanta contingent. Zach, Jordan, the whole crew. And it was just a lot of fun. And, you look out the window and we all need some fun. We all need some fun. And an incredible amount of dancing, singing on the dance floor. I don't even remember a lot of it, up until 4 a.m. After the wedding, the whole family, Sullivans are a big Irish family, big, wonderful family. So we took over a fire pit at a Residence Inn and out there till 2 a.m. and then in the hotel room just drinking beer and eating M&Ms, talking to people. So it was a lot of fun, and Star Wars related in a lot of ways because whenever Alex and Molly are around, we're talking Star Wars, and they needed and deserved and got the fun that I think we'd want them to have. It was so fun to spend time with them. They're such warm and wonderful people, just great to be around, and they are surrounded by equally as warm and wonderful people. They're the center of that kind of Atlanta contingent, and just a lot of fun. Blessed to be there. But I am feeling the price. Jen, I left it all on the dance floor.
I believe it. I saw, now that you say this, I forget where, maybe it was Instagram story. Was it a whiskey bottle with your name on it? Like literally it had your name on it.
Yeah. That was the seating chart thing that you picked up your little mini, either old fashioned or tiki rum, and you found your seat. So sitting next to Alex and Molly and Mark, and just like I said, fun comes with a cost, especially in advancing years. But I would do it all over again. I got home yesterday, fell asleep, I'm gonna lay down for 10 minutes. Woke up 3 hours later. Can't feel my legs from the knee down. I posted a video of Alex and Molly and I dancing, and Molly texted back. She's like, "Oh, that's why my feet hurt. That's exactly. I forgot we were jumping around to the Killers." So it's great. Wow. Got to dance to Chapel Roan songs. It was a good time. It was a good time. And Star Wars was there because, I love hotels. Hotels are my Disneyland, I always say. And other than watching some sports, my Yankees get to the World Series, all the stuff. But TNT was in the middle of one of their Star Wars marathons. So the entire weekend while I was getting ready, I had Star Wars on. And I loved watching Attack the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, TV versions with commercials. But just the amount of beautiful shots in those films, too. I don't think we appreciate that because a lot of, over the years, the CGI of it all and all that stuff, all that bull roar from 20 years ago comes up. But beautiful stuff, beautiful shots in those movies. So, a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Boy, what a great thing to have in the background. Pump you up.
Pump you up. Yeah, the uplifting Revenge of the Sith love story as you guys getting ready to go to a wedding. But it was that. So with that, we are going to discuss Star Wars news as a chance to get caught up with the news as it whizzes past us. That's because Empire Magazine Press has begun with Skeleton Crew. There's a roundtable interview coming out with the directors soon, I think on the 24th. So I even sent out the news last night and said, I'm sure something will drop in the morning, and it did. So 2 promo photos were released as well. In the first one of these Empire Magazine news drips, as we call them, you won't even need the entire interview. It'll just be there in parts, 5 days leading up to it. Director, co-showrunner Jon Watts talked about how they picked their director team and what is, again, like I said, a preview of an upcoming roundtable interview. The directing team includes, it's a good reminder, Jen, Bryce Dallas Howard, Lee Isaac Chung, David Lowery, Jake Shire, and the Daniels, the Oscar-winning The Daniels. Jon Watts helmed 2 episodes himself. Now, Watts explained that he and co-showrunner, co-creator Christopher Ford asked all them these questions. Hey, do you want to do a Star Wars? Play around in the volume? Do previs? Meet some pirates, some puppets, hang out with Jude Law? That was the series of questions every director got, and they all said yes. No one said no. All their names said yes. I thought that was a fun series of questions, a little telling, a little insightful what's coming. So, Jen, how do these questions make you feel about what we'll be getting with the Skeleton Crew?
Can you imagine if you said no? Like, like why would you ever say no to this? Star Wars and puppets, sign me up. The only moment, Jude Law, the only moment where I was like, and this is no. Listen, if I was in person, on the volume or in the volume, whatever, however you want to say, I would be mesmerized. I would be amazed. I would geek out over the tech. But as a viewer, we have experienced some things from the volume that gives me pause on how often they use it. And that was the moment where I was like, yes, do you want to do Star Wars? Play around the volume. Because I'm hoping from what we've seen, it looks like there's some location shots. It looks like maybe there were some sets built, but I'm hoping that there's not too much volume being used in the show, or maybe it is. And maybe I won't be able to tell. And that could be great too.
Yeah.
But that was a little bit.
I really actually like what you kind of got to with this response here, because I'm with you too. I said just this weekend, drunk at this wedding, but said I respect and love the technological advancements of the volume, but without a doubt, I have long held some volume issues, and I'm certainly not alone with that. You're hinting at that too. And I don't want to say it's a divide. I just, and I remember there was a Filoni thing maybe about his movie saying, I know how the volume works and doesn't work, when asked about the question. There are times where we don't know. I always go to the example of the client's office, Werner Herzog's office in Mandalorian Season 1. That was the volume. I didn't think that. I thought it was a complete set, right? So it definitely, it's not that it doesn't work, but it has created a certain vibe, and we're so aware of it. And again, just because you're aware of special effects or a way they shot something doesn't mean it's bad, but we're hyper aware of it. As a look, Marvel shows have had this going on as well, where it just feels more constrained. You're just, you're aware that that cave is half real. Not that they're always were fully functional real caves, or that it wasn't giant sets on Pinewood. We know how movies are made, right. But there's, going back to the beginning of my statement here, there is either a bit of a divide or a disconnect, where this is the question: do you want to play around with this rapidly advancing technology, which is based on so much previs in a way that hasn't been done before, that speeds the process up, that is fascinating to work with, that blows away actors' minds when they walk on set. But the result is, we out there in the viewing audience, again, discussed this weekend, there's a bit of a volume malaise I discover sometimes. I don't know what to do with that, Jed. I just know it's present, and I'm glad you mentioned it.
It is present, and it's complicated, right? I think of the scene between Kenobi and Anakin or Vader in Kenobi, and how that scene to me felt very small. It was a fantastic duel, fantastic. But if that had been shot, I don't know, on location in some big cinematic way, I think it would have been incredible, right? It just felt more like for the TV screen. And this is just something we have to deal with Star Wars on streaming. They're not going to have the same budget that they have in the films. Yeah. I have to accept that. But if you tell me that there's going to be pirates, I immediately start thinking of the pirate movies of the past, and these big sets and locations and blah blah blah. And so now suddenly I'm like, oh. But from an actor's perspective, to have the volume up with the thing there, right, that you're referencing, that is incredibly helpful. And I imagine for the young actors especially, kids have wonderful imaginations, but being able to see it, that creates consistency across the actors' performances so that they all know what they're referencing. And you don't get one kid that's like, another kid that's like, yay. They can see what that beast is or what that ship is. So there's advantages and disadvantages. And I'm just going to let it all go, and I'll see how it hits me.
I think this is a lot of conversation around this show that I've had in real life, IRL, kids, has been this, I'm ready for just a holiday, turn my mind off and enjoy it, which doesn't mean this doesn't have depth coming or poignancy or anything, but just that this there is a vibe of fun. There is a vibe of I think because it's kid led, though Jude Law definitely seems to be the face of the show in the promotions, as that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's that, and I think you're right. I don't want to. I don't want this to come off as a negative conversation around this. It is part of our thinking of these Star Wars TV shows. I love Kenobi. It definitely had budget constraints. I can't. I don't refute that. I know the stabby rock planet that you're talking about. I think was one of the better examples of the volume in the show, but it doesn't always work. And I think, and look, I was talking at the top of the show about the prequels. Without a doubt, some of that tech, as groundbreaking as it was, and we have stuff now because of that, those movies and their tech, it doesn't stand up as much. I always make the joke of Mace Windu stepping down onto Geonosis and the dust does not move under his feet. It's there, Maybe George is up at night going, maybe I could do the special editions. Maybe I could redo that. And George loves his volume. He wanted to do this kind of thing. So, yeah, and I know it's there, it's present, but to transition it to fun, I think it's only going to get better. The tech is only going to get better. And I like that. Part of this question that they were asking here, which I really hope that literally this was the series of questions they asked every one of them. And I believe Jon Watts when he says that they did. But just you could tell, like, hey, you want to have some fun with this. And a director going, yes, not only Star Wars, but groundbreaking tech. And that's fun for me as a fan.
Oh, 100%. And something I want to acknowledge is that when part of it is as an adult and being in the industry as we are, like we just watch things differently, right? You're like, or even just fans in general. We're all very much dialed into like how they make movies and the behind the scenes. And I see there's a consistency error here, right? It's become part of our culture. But kids don't do that. When my kids are watching even animated shows, especially the little one, she gets like, I have to tell her, there's an animator, there's people that are making this. This is not real. With Coraline, there were some really terrifying things. I regretted showing the little one. So when they watch these types of shows, they're not going, this is the volume. This feels kind of small. They are being just like overwhelmed and taking it all in and believing in the magic that is presented to them on screen. So I have to go in with that type of viewing. Well, I am going to go in with that type of viewing because I'm going to be there with them and I'm going to watch it through their eyes and I'm just going to let it go. And I'm not going to focus on the dust that doesn't move, even though I'm going to see it. I'm going to let it go.
The dust that doesn't move, a Western movie that we've yet to see. And you're right. I think there's, it's not us here as a podcast, as people who work in this town, or at least try to work in this town. That's the other conversations I had this weekend. I think Zach, a pal from Atlanta, who works in the business but out in Atlanta, was saying something. Jen, between Canada, LA, and Atlanta right now, there's like 36 active productions. That's nothing.
What?
That's nothing.
Oh, geez.
That is this industry is dying. So we'll talk off air about how it blew my mind. But yeah, so we're hyper aware. But yeah, youngsters sitting down, or just I hate to say general fan always seems like some sort of swipe, but just someone who's got a lot going on in life and is like, great, I'm going to watch Star Wars. I don't care how they shot this; it's Star Wars. Right. I think that's the angle to focus on here. And plus, pirates and Jude Law. And pirates and pirate themes, Jen, come up often, but this interview tied that in with Peter Pan. Not necessarily new to the Skeleton Crew conversation, but it was highlighted in a way that I enjoyed. And director David Lowery's got an episode talked about just finishing a new Peter Pan film with Jude Law as Hook. He also pointed out the new droid SM-33, Nick Frost's character, is possibly a Star Wars take on Pan's Mr. Smee. We got that picture that was released. That's a very cool shot of Smee, as we maybe now will call them, SM-33, red background there. But thoughts on the Peter Pan connection with the pirate angle and this new photo of Smee?
I love Peter Pan, even though there's obviously, if you watch the Disney version of it from many, many, many years ago, there are some problematic elements. I will acknowledge that. I love the Peter Pan ride at Disneyland.
Same.
But in terms of like, I think that I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think of like some of the live action Peter Pan movies, and even what is it? He did David Lowery.
David
He did,
Lowery.
he did that Peter Pan and Wendy movie, which got not
Mm,
great reviews. It was only on Disney Plus.
mm.
So I feel like the Peter Pan story can be mixed, like. Even
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg's Hook. Do you remember that? Like it did great at the
Oh,
box
yeah.
office, but it was kind of
Yeah.
panned, right?
Hook might be a generational divide thing
Yeah.
where I didn't even see it because there was no way I was going to see that in the early 90s. But then I have friends who live and die by that movie. And then when I was at John Williams in concert and he opened one of the ones, I've seen him 3 times. And I think maybe the second time I saw him, he opened with a song from Hook. That was his opener. And
Wow.
people loved it. It's a weird generational divide maybe, but I'm with you because I
Right?
didn't watch it. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't particularly care for it. And I remember like the whole Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell, and like that was like drama. And Carrie Fisher came in and I think rewrote some of the
Yeah.
dialogue for Julia Roberts. Anyways, I
Mm.
don't know if leading with the Peter Pan thing is good or bad. I don't maybe it is. Maybe it's a great selling point for people who love that story.
Mhm.
However, this image of Smee is not reminiscent of Mr. Smee from Peter Pan at all.
Right. No.
This Smee looks scary and super cool and reminds me of what is that? What is that movie from the late 80s? The robot
Late.
movie. Oh my gosh. Why didn't I figure this out off air? You know that movie, Giant Robot. Is it Giant Robot? What is it?
The Iron Giant
Iron Giant. That's
from the
it.
late 90s. Okay.
Late 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't it kind of look like that?
It does. No, you're not the first to say that. I said sounds
Okay.
very that sounds very aggressive when I say you're not the first to say that. No, I've heard that coming out of this story dropping this weekend. Yeah, it's very Iron Giant.
Okay.
Which
It makes me
is
love it.
I think I think is a great influence.
Yeah.
Very well received movie. I'm with you. I'm not a Peter Pan expert, other than actually the ride is one of my favorite things in Fantasyland. It's a nice, relaxing ride with the little tiny London. I like it. But it definitely has the coming of age, the growing up and not wanting to grow up. It's got all those big things that we can draw on. So I think it will work in that regard, and definitely with what's going on with the series. I mean. We have talked about it before, but pirates being a good foe for kids lost in a galaxy versus I don't know. I'm expecting some sort of bounty hunter, but an Imperial remnant or one of Thrawn's army. All that stuff could factor in. I'm not going to be surprised if any of that those elements show up. But pirates seem a little more fantastic and fantastical for kids lost in the galaxy, and I think it will work in that regard. And I like that this went from this pirate thing keeps coming up, and we've known for a while that Vane was going to be in the show, and of course there was pirates, Gory and Shard in Mando season 3, and there's definitely always been space pirates. I mean, hell, Han Solo's technically a space pirate more than a smuggler in terms of his descriptions in 1977. So it's there, but it's clearly going to be very, very present. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, it's very Goonie-like, right?
Yeah. You know what? When you focus more on the themes and really like why they would choose pirates as opposed to, I don't know, whatever, Sith or troopers, right?
Dark side witches or
Right. Because then it's like the expectations are very, I don't want to say high, but there's a certain expectation where it's like, you don't want the stormtroopers to come off and be bumbling, even though we have that. We've had that in Star Wars, right? People now want to see troopers as a little bit more menacing or whatever. And same with Sith. They want to be dark and gritty. So where do you go from that? Pirates. Pirates are the perfect villain because they can be funny. They can be silly. They can be bumbling, but they can still also be dangerous and enigmatic. And I think if they do want to get this fun audience, younger audience, having pirates makes so much sense because it's like, oh, pirates aren't real, even though they are real. But I don't know. There's just something a little bit more magical about it, right? And they can also have a redemption story. I believe a pirate's redemption more than I would. It's going to be harder for a Sith to redeem themselves, right? Pirates just like to steal things.
I chased these kids and now I see the light side of the Force. Yeah, there's something you maybe think of too. I mean, this is set during the quote unquote Mandoverse, about 5 years after the Battle of Endor. It's square in that time. But I'm not expecting, and I think because of the pirates, I'm not expecting. It's going to be fun to meet these 4 kid characters and go, ooh, which one of them was at the Battle of Exegol? Right? Which one of them goes on to become part of Leia's resistance? We have those questions all the time. It's like anytime there's a young Jedi character or Force user, like, is Kylo Ren going to kill them? Are they at Luke's school? And I love those connections. I love those what ifs and wonders. I don't feel that right now with this. I don't need to, because it's clearly it's out in the outer rim or the far reaches in wild space, and if a pirate goes or a pirate redeems himself, I'm not going to feel it's going to need to connect dramatically or in some sort of key way to the big story that they are developing with Thrawn and what's going to maybe lead to that Filoni movie. You know?
I think that's a huge advantage, because I think one of the things that stops some people from entering Star Wars shows is how much do I have to know, right? Like, how much do I have to catch up on? I think with the Acolyte, maybe people were intimidated by the idea of like connections to the High Republic. They haven't read the book series, right? Which, as we saw, you didn't have to read the books to be able to appreciate the show. So with this, it's like pirates, fun, puppets. You don't have to know a lot about Star Wars. You don't have to worry about the canon. It is kind of like its own little separate story that, of course, will have canon threads. Of course, it'll have those connections if you want to seek it out. But I don't think you need to know those things in order to enjoy the show. That's how they're presenting it, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that there. And I myself love that photo of SM-33. It looks menacing. It looks exactly like something that would frighten a kid before he helps you, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
Excited for a new droid. Jon Watts admitted to coming close and perhaps even breaking NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, while recruiting Lee Isaac Chung. Great story of Lee Isaac Chung said, yeah, Jon Favreau asks you if you want to do it. You say yes. Then he tells you what you're doing, where Jon Watts was showing concept art and ideas and just talking about it freely. But all that speaks to Watts' excitement and passion for this idea. And Jem, as we ask this final question before our break, how does his passion for this project make you feel after a little bit of a troubling and dark time for Star Wars creators and performers over the last few years? Meaning all things kind of renew and begin again. We are now hearing a creator talk about how they had a lot of passion for the Star Wars project that's about to come. Where are you at with that right now?
He seems giddy, which I really appreciate. He genuinely seems like he is a kid in a candy store that's got I got all the Star Wars candy. Come and join the party. Like, he's like, I love that. I'm sure it's from excitement, because you don't have to pitch Star Wars that hard. You say Star Wars and most people are going to be on board, right?
Yeah.
But he's just probably so excited by all the different concept art and the different characters and his vision for this story that he just couldn't help himself, which I like that. And I think that will translate on screen. And I'm hopeful that it will also kind of like spread amongst the fan community, where how can you fault them for like trying their best, wearing their heart on their sleeves and just giving it the best that they got. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like what you're saying. And I think it's needed and it's important, and it isn't new. And that's why I asked this question, because even going back to Johnny Fav's and launching of Mandalorian and him being excited about it and him showing up to Chicago for the panel and talking about how he, was sending Dave Filoni Boba Fett socks for Christmas and stuff. Because clearly I think he wanted to do a Boba Fett show before it became the Mandalorian. His excitement and his love of his Star Wars, and even then saying, it was the original trilogy with the prequels, but Dave's changed my mind. Deborah Chow with Kenobi, all the way up to Leslie Headland with The Acolyte. They all approach it with passion. They all love this stuff, and they all go out in front of the world and do their press tours and do their promotions, and they do it with a full heart. And then we've seen what happens, and I'm not just talking about The Acolyte, but after a while, you wonder if anyone out there wants to take on these Star Wars shows. And here comes Jon Watts and off successes with Spider-Man, and I guess I'm not surprised that he's excited and passionate promoting this, but I think it's real, it's deep, and for a show that is not necessarily going to be for everyone. Meaning, what I mean by that is, it's a clearly Star Wars kid-led show. It's clearly going to maybe draw in a younger audience, and I'm not talking about the dark and gritty type of conversation that always factors in, but it might not immediately draw in even an older general Star Wars fan. Just like, hey, it might not be for me. And it also could come off as a really manufactured idea of like, hey, we need a Star Wars kiddie show. And it's not. This is what Jon Watts and Chris Ford pitched. This is what they pitched to Johnny Favs on set. This is what got them the meeting. This is what got the idea greenlit, was their passion for doing this. A Amblin era Star Wars, Amblin era inspired Star Wars show. So I'm excited, like you said, that his passion will probably show, and that he was able to recruit these directors. All of them said yes, and they're all on board for it. I'm not surprised by any of that, but I think after these last couple years or last 5 years or so, that excitement has been met with water dousing the flames of Star Wars passion in a lot of these creators. It's nice to remind me that hope springs eternal, and you can always look forward to the next Star Wars.
I hope so. You're right, because it's interesting how initially with Jon Favreau, when he was talking about his excitement, that was met with, yay, we love that you see these characters like your action figures and you're playing in the sandbox. And then suddenly a few years later, it was almost like weaponized against him, where it's like, just using these like your action figures in the sandbox. It's like, well, wait a minute. That's what we all liked about it initially. And now you suddenly turn, right? So it is interesting. I don't know how people are going to, because there is a section of the fan base that does make money by coming up with these ridiculously mean, hateful takes. And with something like this, number one, I would hope that they would have the decency to not attack the children, right? That's number one. So then who are they going to attack? The creators? I don't know. Maybe they'll just leave this alone. One would hope. Or they'll just say it's bad writing.
Yeah. One would hope. You're right. You would think they wouldn't, but I don't trust them to stop at anything, at any a barrier. But it could be a test. If it's a bridge too far for the bad faith crowd. If this is like, all right, now you've gone too far in the sense of, now you're absolutely going after kids. But I think they have in the past. And don't forget Jake Lloyd and that generation, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So it's unfortunately already in the water. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I wonder if what the reaction will be to them tearing down specifically the children. But it might focus on something like Watts. But that's the negative side of it. But the positive side is I really love that he's like, this is what I wanted to do. This is the story, Star Wars story I wanted to tell. And that's what we always want and need, and that's what we're going to get from this creator here as well. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we got a little bit more with the Skeleton Crew. It's a Skeleton Crew week. The press truly has begun. I know there was some news at New York Comic-Con related to figures and stuff like that. We'll take a pass through that. But mostly we're here for Skeleton Crew. Stick around for more ForceCenter. All right, we're back here on ForceCenter. I'm Ken, that's Jen, in our virtual studio, taking a look at Empire Magazine's preview of their big interview coming out on October 24th. But by the time that interview drops, we'll have had every corner of the interview mined for press drips, which is okay. It's part of the fun. I think I'm slightly cynical on it, Jen, because it is now 15 years or 10 years, I should say, in this news cycle. We're so used to it.
We are used to it. Yeah. Taking it sentence by sentence, image by image, analyzing it, enlarging it. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to it. And it's so funny. I double clicked on a question, copy and pasted it. And I realized as we're talking now, Jen, I had moved the passion question to this section. Oh, but we just answered
I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's my bad. But we do have some more here. The story and reveal of Skeleton Crew figures at New York Comic-Con. Like I said, they have new figures coming out. There's also at New York Comic-Con, there was a new comic series announced. Ethan Sachs working on a new Poe Dameron one. There's a Bad Batch comic series leading up to the series, that kind of stuff. Check that out if you want that information. But we're focusing on Skeleton Crew. But we are here. This all seems to indicate the start of the Skeleton Crew press push. And kind of going out of what we were talking about, Jen, about Jon Watts and his passion, and us being slightly cynical on here we go again, a new promotional cycle for Star Wars. What do you want to get out of this forthcoming promotional campaign? It's a wide open question, I know, but what do you hope Disney and Lucasfilm accomplishes? What do you want as a fan? What do you want as a fan who, it's not been the best years to be a Star Wars fan with all the rancor going around. What are you looking for?
I want nothing. I want nothing. I am at the point where, which we're going to talk about in a minute, something that was shared. Yeah. I think that the less I know, the better. I think they've given us a lot. And I just think that what happens is if you reveal too much, fan expectations run wild. People start theorizing on what things are. And then when they don't get it, they get disappointed. So just how do you hold back though with a press push? How do you? I don't know. I feel like because how did the Mandalorian keep Grogu a secret? I look at that and I'm like, that's what all shows going forward need to do.
Yeah.
Like hold back as much as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, but I felt like they did a good job of revealing enough of the tone of the show with the Mandalorian.
Yeah, no, that's got to be studied as one of the great all-time secrets kept in an era where it's very hard to keep secrets, and also secrets that can help promote the show, right? That could have been used to its advantage. I know I've had people in my life, my buddy Ken Plume, my buddy Mike Black, even Joseph Scrimshaw stuff. Oh, we should cite out. We knew top of the show. We're just like, hey, Joseph's not here. Joseph's busy prepping his movie and had to take this week off. Apologize, Joseph. But he's more plugged in the toy world than maybe you or I are in terms of the business of it. Mandalorian, with the secret of Grogu, kind of set a trend where a lot of reveals had to be pulled back, and they aren't there in the toys. And so that creates, I would even say Luke in Force Awakens. I mean, hell, on this channel, remember we kept saying, oh, they're not even showing us the third act because we haven't even seen Luke yet in the Force Awakens promos. So it's a little bit of a different era than even Phantom Menace, where those figures come out and you're like, ooh, Chancellor Valorum, I bet he's key to the story, and you're just like, everything was present, or Qui-Gon's Noble End on the soundtrack, all those kind of things. It's a different era, which I'm okay with. So I don't know what's coming in the show, but I know they might need some of it to really promote it to a wider audience. Again, I don't think this is just hyper-focused on kids. It is Star Wars, after all. It's always got a young at heart kind of feel to it. But if you're trying to get everyone involved, the next trailer, I love the first trailer. I love what we saw even at Celebration. But even the one at Celebration had a little bit more with the parents. So I hope, and I'm sure we will get a next or final trailer, that it does kind of give a bigger scope of the story, so that we know it's coming, that it's beyond just the adventure of these four kids, but that's at the center of it. And maybe that, but I'm with you too. I don't want any big reveals, any surprises. If there's a new version, this show's kind of version of Grogu, not necessarily in terms of a Baby Yoda, but just in a surprise. I would love that, and I would love to have it pulled back. But I just want the passion being sold, and they're already trying to do that.
Sorry, I have some truck that's like taking a really long time to get here. Yeah, I think it's like for a minute. Yeah, I think that is the challenge, right? Is that when you are like we are consuming everything, or trying to consume as much as I can without spoiling too much, right? Or getting, cynical about it. But for the average person, they're just going about their day and they're like, oh, there's a Star Wars show coming out. Maybe I'll check it out, right? So how do you grab their attention and make it look intriguing to where out of all the shows, they're going to go to Disney Plus and watch this?
Yeah. Look, it's tough. You're competing for everyone's attention in this marketplace. I mean, this show isn't just competing with other shows; it's competing with TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and those Twitch and those things, all Kick, whatever. Those things are still drawing bigger numbers than any show. I saw someone. I haven't even seen Shrinking. I want to watch the show, but I saw someone saying, "Man, I really hope people watch Shrinking season 2 because it's so good." I was thinking, there's probably more people watching a Fortnite stream right now on Twitch than anyone will ever, be watching a show like Shrinking. That's just kind of where we're at. So the show's competing for a lot of attention, and especially because right now I still think not a lot is known about the show outside of these podcasts and YouTube channels. So it's going to be an interesting test.
You know what they're going to do? I just had a thought. They're going to get kid influencers, younger influencers, and they're going to partner with them. We'll see them on the red carpet at the screening, stuff like that. And those kid influencers are going to be spreading the news about how great the show is, right? And I think that that's probably going to be very effective. Kids. If my kids are reciting stuff that they hear on YouTube with these gaming channels, I'm like, where'd you hear that? They're like Maddie and Moody or Moody and Cutie. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
It works.
It works. We could definitely have a conversation about influencer culture and all that stuff. Absolutely. But it's kind of where we're at. And the push from a lot of these, properties, Star Wars definitely at the center of it, moving from it's a press event and press is showing up. Press is still there, but I can tell you can tell from personal experience, less press or podcasts that fall into the press side of things are getting to these events. They are recruiting what they call fanfluencers. Yeah. And that's not a swipe at them. If you've gone viral because you have a nice costume and you play with a lightsaber on Instagram and you get 1 million views, you should be at the event. They want you there. Right. They want you there. And that's part of this. That's how they approach it. So yeah. In terms of kidfluencers, I'm not super familiar with the kidfluencer world, Jen, but right. That'd be a way to do it. I wouldn't be surprised if you see that.
Can I just share something that's so interesting to me, and I feel like I have no one else to share this with, but you, I know you'll appreciate this. So back in the day, my dad was, news broadcaster, and he had an annual pass. It was called a silver pass to Disneyland because he was part of the media. And so they would give silver passes where you could go in anytime that you want with however many people you wanted to bring in. I think maybe it was like up to 4 or something. And he would go to all the events. And then eventually, I forget what year they stopped it. But one of the reasons that they said was because it looked bad to the outside world, because it looked like they were basically kind of like paying the media to give good reviews. And so now here we are in this day and age where we have influencers who sometimes are being paid or they're not. But gosh, if you invite me to a screening and I get to walk the red carpet and I'm seeing these actors that I've looked up to and there's costumes and there's creatures and it's so exciting, I'm going to give a pretty decent review. I mean, I don't know, me personally, I may not, but like, I feel like it does influence. It does influence how you review the film.
Because things have changed. This goes back 10 years to where you, me, and Joseph, but I, working for Collider and Screen Junkies and those kind of things, felt this is where that dumb shill thing comes into play, where press people are not as impressed by anything.
No.
Red carpet premiere events are work nights.
Yes.
They're fun.
Yeah.
Like me, you get to wait behind Larry Kasdan at the Tri-Tip bar for the solo after party.
Oh my gosh.
Highlight of my life. Yes. But I would sit with these people who would, here I am. I love these movies because I dive in deep, and this is what we do at ForceCenter, blah, blah, blah. But I'd sit next to people I know who hated these things. The movies, like they'd give Solo a bad review. They got invited to the next one. And what started happening is because the walls came down, where it is no longer Army Archered. It's no longer, Sam Rubin, rest in peace. It's no longer like an actual, Siskel and Ebert, which was, on your TV screen. Now it's people you're watching on YouTube. There was this thing, especially when Jedi Council and Collider, we started, they went to Force Awakens. I didn't. I went to Last Jedi. There was this feeling of, oh, your podcast got rewarded. Where I keep trying to pound the fist of we weren't rewarded. We were press. We were on a press list.
Very different, yes.
We got screeners, so you get the reviews out in time. You got to these events. Yes, it's part of the fun, but I know those. I know those folks who brought people in from Disney and Lucasfilm and everything. Like, yeah, we want you to have fun. We don't expect anything. In fact, a lot of you are probably not going to like it, but we can at least hope to give you an angle. And it got confusing over the years.
Right.
And I don't mean to be finger wagging, but a lot of folks misunderstood what that stuff was. But take that, Jen, to where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
You are not inviting press. You are
Right.
inviting someone who is being rewarded for 1 million views playing with a lightsaber. And now it's a little different. And I haven't gone to these events because I'm not on the list anymore. I got removed.
Right.
And a lot of I got people who work for like the Wrap who are like, we can't get in as much anymore. They're not bringing us in. They're not bringing the press. And this is not just Star Wars. This is all of Hollywood because they're pivoting. And a lot of the social media teams, which are not interns, they're not unpaid, unqualified people. Social media teams are highly trained. I'm not going to say highly compensated because they probably need to be compensated more. But a lot of them are younger. A lot of them are younger. So they're looking at what they're looking at. And it's just the world, more people have paid attention to this stuff. We can sound old and out of touch when we make fun of the TikToks and everything, but that's the word. That's what's getting out. That's why Fleetwood Mac can go gold again with Dreams because some guy decides to drink cranberry juice on a skateboard, and now everyone's like, "What's this song?" Like that's how it works. And it's and it's changed, and I've it's frustrated. But I think you're now. That's why that fanfluencer thing, the conversation that you're saying is up, and I'm not even accusing them of being bought.
No.
I'm just saying it. Yeah, it's a different feeling. You get to go on the red carpet now. Before it was like, I mean, I guess one of the reasons I was laid off from Collider first, I was the first to get laid off during the big change, is they looked at me, my bosses looked at me and said, "You don't go to these events." And I said, "I'm not going on a Tuesday night at 7:00. Sorry, I'm home. I'm not going out. I'm not going out with you guys." And well, that's one of the reasons you're here. So it was part of so it's a work night, but it's not a work night for other folks. It's a vacation trip.
That's you're so right. And it's like you do feel like, oh, I'm so grateful to be here. I am special to be on this list. And if I start saying negative things, they're not going to necessarily want to invite me. Whereas if you're press and media, you have a job to do. And I think that does translate to how people see these reviews, right? They're going to be much more cynical nowadays because they're going to say, "Oh, you're a shill. Oh, you just were happy to be invited." And there could be some truth to that. Whereas back in the day,
now more than then. Now more than then.
Now
that's
more
the
than
whole point the whole point of my rant was that is like then absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I totally agree.
It's possible.
Yeah, like with Collider and all of the I don't want to say geek outlets, but like the more
movie outlets and stuff,
geek outlets, right? There was, I don't want to say integrity because that sounds bad, but there is some
not
sort
across
of
the board.
There's like some ethics. Well, okay, but we're not going to go there. You had a job to do, right? And it was okay.
It was a job.
It was a job. You were expected to go in and provide your reasons and have thoughtful reasons why this did not resonate with you or why it did resonate with you and back it up rather than just saying it's just bad writing, right?
Okay.
Yeah. You can't say that in a blog post or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know why I just thought about that. But
this is an interesting tangent, Jen, but because I think the show will need that. Not just the young adults and above influencers, but the kidfluencers and stuff like that, just to get the word out. And can't wait. And I love the show. I love what the show could mean. I should say I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I love it. That's going to be needed as we go forward because I don't know of a lot of youngsters sitting down and reading Empire magazine, online or not.
Go to the gamers. Do something with Roblox. That is how you will reach the children. I will tell you. Or do a ridiculous song. Like my kids love these ridiculous songs. I just had the best burrito in the world. That was one that we stumbled upon. Oh, okay. It was a great song.
I'm listening.
So, so that's how you reach the kids. Do something ridiculous, Skeleton Crew. Do something ridiculous.
There you go. Well, I hope I didn't get too grumpy there because I'm not grumpy. I just I've seen it change over the last 4 or 5 years. I've seen it change where it is no longer a press event. It is called a fan event. Yeah, and that press can get to. But look, we'll disclose. ForceCenter no longer gets screeners. We are not even on the screener list anymore, which is not a privilege to watch the shows first. It's for your workflow. That's why you have screeners, so you could watch and get things released before. We're not on that list anymore. We got pulled off of it. So I think times have changed, and that's okay. And I hope this show benefits. And I think to close the thought on the circle on this, Jen, I hope Skeleton Crew benefits from a lot of energy and folks who are excited to see and get the word out about this show.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Or they can rely on us Gen Xers and old millennials to go, hey, I remember that character from 1985 range. That's right, breaking Monday before recording. And this will not be the only story that pops up after we record here. These Empire Magazine things run for about a week. Teek is back again. Director David Lowery revealed Teek, or at least a Teek, because don't forget, Teek is both the name of the character and the species, will be in his episode that he directed. This coming from Empire Magazine, Empire Online. This morning, like I said, Teek is featured in the is Battle for Endor, right? He's the second one.
Yeah.
He's hanging out with Noah, Wilford Brimley's character.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
He is loved. Our buddy Nathan Hamill, son of Mark, has been the world's biggest Teek supporter for decades. Almost to the point where now I haven't texted Nathan this morning, but this ruins his running joke now, because his joke was always kind of like, hey, remember Teek? No one does. Now people will know Teek soon enough. So Jen, thoughts on the return of Teek? And does it need to be the Teek? Or is this like when Babu Frick was going to show up in Mando? Oh no, it's other Anzellans. How's that work for you? Where are you at with the Teek of it all?
Ooh, well, it could be the Teek, which, by the way, Teek was a member of the Teek species, which is always confusing to me. Anyways, and I could even be wrong about that. You guys, this is Legends, okay? So anything is possible. It could be the Teek from Battle of Endor. This is how you get the young people. Talk about weird. This character is weird. And the fact that it was revealed to us, I was surprised. But then again, who cares except for people like us who were like, oh my gosh, Teek. My kids will be like, who? What? Ooh. Although they did see Caravan of Courage, but I don't think that I showed them Battle of Endor.
Battle for Endor.
Battle of. Anyways, yeah, I'm excited. I'm guessing it's a background thing, right? It's got to be a background thing happening.
It sounds like that. I know, and they're talking about this Teek is a puppet, and David Lowery was talking about the difference between working with a practical puppet that they're not replacing, that's not going to be VFX or CGI. It's a puppet on the volume set. He goes, it was the oldest form and the newest form of making magic in film. So I'm interested in that. Yeah, I think I want it to be. Well, here's the thing. I'm thinking aloud. I want it to be the Teek, but then that kind of means, do they end up on Endor? Does he? Because these movies aren't canon. So we're clear. These movies aren't canon. So Teek, if Obi-Wan can leave Tatooine, Teek can leave Endor. But Teek and the Teek species are Endor natives. This particular Teek, named Teek, ends up kind of becoming friends and roommates with this explorer, this space explorer who crashes on Endor, Noah, played by Wilford Brimley, who he can't repair his ship. His buddy is captured by the villains there on the planet, and that's part of the plot. And then Noah, spoiler it all, Noah replaces his ship. And yes, I did refresh my mind this morning. Sindel and him get off Endor. Teek stays behind, but he does he gets to live in Bright Tree Village. So he's part of the tribe.
Okay.
Does he leave? If this is the Teek, then Skeleton Crew, I think, goes to Endor. But if it's a Teek and just a Teek out in the galaxy, it's still an off-planet Teek, not unlike off-world Jawas. Ooh, so this is an intriguing wrinkle in the Star Wars story, Jen.
This is very intriguing because if they do end up on Endor, which would be huge, it would be huge. I cannot emphasize how wonderful that would be. But then you're he's already would be spoiling it by saying, because we're going to do the math. we are
We're
going to go
doing the
back
math.
like you're doing right now. Oh, of course Teek would be in
We're doing the
Frontier
math.
Village. So I don't know if he would share that. That's why I'm like, I'm not going to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe that there's like Ewoks there. But if there was, if you're going to do a Star Wars show, you want to get the younger crowd and the older folks like me. You do it by having Ewoks. That's just what I'm going to put out there. To all of you Star Wars creators out there, you can get both, all the different tiers, all the different ages by having Ewoks. Do it.
Look, I love this. I was super excited for the possibility of Endor and Ewoks in Rise of Skywalker. In fact, I fell for it. When the trailers first came out, and you're seeing Rey, what we now know, Rey training, and she has that helmet. I thought it was a Pathfinder helmet. I thought we were going back to Endor, and we did for a quick glimpse of Wicket and his son at the end of the film. Now you have a chance, because we're about 5 years after the Battle of Endor here. You have a chance to do it, and maybe this, Jed, is the Grogu of the show. That it's Wicket and Nisa. You can't forget Princess Nisa, and that maybe they run the joint. I've always said that Nisa and Wicket probably eventually fall in love. I have no proof for that other than I just want people to remember that Nisa was the next in line for Chirpa's crown.
Yes,
not Wicket.
Yes.
Maybe in this adventure, which does not take on one planet, the kids are not stranded on a planet. They're stranded in a ship being pursued by pirates while they try to get back home. Maybe they end up on Endor.
Gosh, that would be bold. That would be so bold. I don't know if they're going to go there, but he said puppet. He didn't say suits, furry suits.
But that's Teek.
That's Teek. That's Teek, who was a hand puppet.
Maybe
right?
Teek's the one that finds them and runs back. And maybe it's Wicket who's like, you need to get home? Let me get they left me a phone, a one-way phone. I'm calling my friends Leia and Han, and maybe they're going to come get you.
Maybe this is how they end the series. Maybe that's how they end the series, with a cliffhanger where we see just some of the the walklings. I don't know. See something.
Yep. And the final thought here, Jen. We thought we didn't have as much to say on this news this week. My final thought with Teek, the fact that we are now in the article dropped today as we're recording talks about Skeleton Crew bringing a battle for Endor character in, and talks about these movies. And it's been a long time since I revisited them. I remember them and loved them in a weird way as a kid, but I'm not going to say that I want those films brought into canon. But if this leads, Jen, to a modern update of an Ewok movie on Disney Plus, what would that do to you? Do you want that? Do you not want to touch these?
Oh, God, please do. Please, I want to touch an Ewok. No, they have to. They have to. To me, it's like the time is right. I feel that older fans have made peace with it, whether they love it or they hate the Ewok, right?
Yeah, I've made peace with those films. It's a good way to describe me on my feelings on them.
I think that you can do it on a lower budget. I don't think it needs a lot. I think we can get into the culture of the Ewoks. I think that from a merchandising perspective, it is smart. It will get like I said, the younger viewers, families. Let me do this. I'll write it.
I love it.
I got ideas.
I love it. I'm excited for this. You and my old pal. It's been years since I've really talked to her, but my old pal Madeline Rue, an author who actually wrote the Eclipse short story and the A New Hope point of view book about Breha and Bael's last moments. She's a giant Ewok fan. In fact, she had a big Ewok party where the movies Caravan of Courage and Battle for Endor were just playing on loop. Everyone dressed as Ewoks. It was great.
Oh my gosh!
She years ago she wanted to tell the story of Sindel after this film, and it was not going to happen. So between you and her, you guys can come up with a new. Madeline Rue's out there listening. I don't think she is. We've got other good things going on in her life. This is what I would want. If this leads to that, it's all worth it.
I just want to be there. when the magic happens, and just fluff an Ewok. Wait, that's not bad. That's bad, right? That's bad. Not like in that way. I want to just touch it and like adjust the fur, get them camera ready. It's their time to shine. I think that the fans, aka me, want it. And Nathan Hamill.
Jen Landa, Madeline Rue. I wanted to. You know, I love my Ewoks now, in large part because of my friendship with you and my friendship with Madeline. So, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's have this lead to next year around this time. We'll have David Lowery presents the new Battle for Endor.
Yes.
We can get to that there. All right, that's it. A fun, silly look at a show that I think is going to be fun and silly in a wonderful way this holiday season. More Skeleton Crew, I'm sure, will be out. And when Joseph returns, we'll get a little deeper into the issues. I'm sure. You know, we're looking forward to the deep themes this show will present, but also our wild prediction that it all ends on Endor. It's where we go. Where we go.
Dream.
We have some questions later in the week. We also have a live stream this coming Friday. It's our spooky holiday Halloween edition of a live ForceCenter on Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific. So look for that. Going to be a lot of fun. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. Our Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. Podcast is available in a lot of spots. Just search, you'll find us. Merch available 2 spots on TeePublic at teepublic.com/user/ForceCenter, and on Fourth Wall, the link down below here on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things so we too can influence even better than we have for the last 11 years. Patreon.com/ForceCenter is where you can support us directly. Follow me at Ken Napzok. Go to my website, kennapzok.com. One thing I'm excited and try to highlight is my show, Pop Rockin' Radio, which I've been doing by myself for the last couple of years, is now actually on the radio. Based out of Newcastle, Pennsylvania. So if you're in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, you can listen live. But you can listen anywhere throughout the world through TuneIn and the Radio Box app. Just look for Hall of Fame Music Radio. And Sunday nights, midnight Eastern, my show, Pop Rockin' Radio, airs. Been a lot of fun sharing great music I love. So that, Jen, where can they find and follow you? And, you got a lot of Ewok content out there they can find.
You can find me, my Ewok content, my Halloween content at Jennifer Landa on most social media sites, and at Jennifer Landa 1138 on TikTok.
There you go. We'll see you next time. So for Teek and all the Ewoks that are about to show up in Skeleton Crew, we'll see you. Bye.